There are places you go to escape, and then there are places that seem to have escaped the world altogether. Nauru is one of them. It's a tiny fleck of coral and limestone adrift in the vast Pacific Ocean, the world's least visited country. You don't just stumble upon Nauru. You have to want to go there, navigating infrequent flights and bureaucratic hurdles. It holds two grim titles: the least touristed spot on Earth and, paradoxically, the most obese nation. The postcard-perfect paradise was strip-mined away long ago, leaving something far more complex and raw. To understand Nauru is to look past easy narratives and confront a history that is both bizarre and tragic. Located in Micronesia, northeast of Australia, Nauru is a single, raised, coral atoll, its nearest neighbor 300 kilometers away. This isn't just geographical isolation, it's existential solitude. About 12,000 people live here, trying to figure out what comes next, when the one thing that made them rich is gone. You step off the plane into thick, humid air and a heavy silence, punctuated by the surf and a distant generator. There's a single road circling the island, a journey you can complete in under 30 minutes. This is Nauru, the island of paradoxes, where the story is as rich as the phosphate that was once stripped from its core. Imagine an island so small you could walk its entire coastline in a single afternoon. That's Nauru. At just 21 square kilometers, it's the third smallest state in the world, a dot dwarfed by the Pacific. Most people live on a narrow, fertile coastal strip, a green halo around the island. Step inland, and you enter the topside, a raised plateau, 80% of the island, stripped bare by a century of phosphate mining. The interior is a moonscape of jagged limestone, a ghostly forest of stone spires where almost nothing grows. The contrast between the living coast and the dead interior is jarring, a physical manifestation of Nauru's fractured history. The climate is relentlessly hot and humid, with relief only from ocean breezes or sudden downpours. Nauru is vulnerable to drought, relying on rainwater and aging desalination plants. The limited arable land means growing food is a struggle, nearly everything is imported. The single ring road is the island's main artery, connecting scattered districts. The surrounding ocean offers little in the way of a safe harbor, making large-scale shipping a challenge. Nauru is a small, isolated stage, where a complex human drama unfolds, shaped by its geology and the overwhelming forces of the outside world. To understand Nauru today, you have to dig into its past. For centuries, it was a quiet Pacific island until a prospector discovered its rock was high-grade phosphate, a geological lottery ticket. Suddenly, Nauru became a target of colonial ambition. Mining began, first under German, then British, and later joint control. The island's interior was stripped, its soil shipped away, while Nauruans saw little of the wealth. They were pushed to the coastal fringes, their home transformed into a massive, open-pit mine. Everything changed in 1968 when Nauru gained independence and control of its phosphate industry. For a brief period, Nauru became one of the world's wealthiest nations per capita. Money flowed freely. Tax-free living, free education, a national airline with jets flying to distant cities. But the phosphate began to run out, and decades of poor investments squandered the nation's trust fund. By the early 2000s, the money was gone. The mines fell silent. The airline's fleet was repossessed. Nauru went from a cautionary tale of environmental destruction to one of economic collapse. The island was left with a devastated landscape, a broken economy, and a population accustomed to a lifestyle it could no longer afford. The fortune vanished, but its consequences remain, etched into the very rock of the island. What does a Tuesday look like in Nauru? It's slow, quiet, dictated by the heat and limited options. The government is the largest employer, jobs are scarce, and many spend long hours in the shade with family and friends. With the interior barren, almost all food is imported: canned meats, instant noodles, white rice, sugary drinks. Fresh produce is rare and expensive, shaping both culture and health. The 19-kilometer ring road is the island's circulatory system, with old cars and motorbikes cruising the loop. Education is free and compulsory, but resources are limited, and opportunities after graduation are few. Many young Nauruans dream of studying abroad, but leaving is difficult and costly. Despite hardships, Nauruan culture endures. Family is the bedrock, and community events and sports are vital. There's a quiet resilience here, a sense of shared identity forged in isolation. People find joy in simple things: bingo, fishing, or sharing a meal as the sun sets. Life may be circumscribed by limits, but it goes on, with a rhythm all its own. Nauru carries a heavy burden, visible on its people. The nation has the highest rate of obesity in the world. Over 90% of adults are overweight, and diabetes is rampant. The shift from traditional diets to cheap processed imports has had a devastating impact on public health. The phosphate wealth created a sedentary lifestyle, and when the money disappeared, reliance on high-calorie imports became entrenched. Fresh fruits and vegetables are prohibitively expensive. A can of Spam is cheaper than a head of lettuce. The healthcare system, though free, is overwhelmed and under-resourced. Patients with serious complications often face grim prospects, with some needing costly evacuation to Australia. The health crisis is a constant presence. Families lose loved ones prematurely, and chronic disease is seen as normal. The very wealth that was supposed to secure Nauru's future instead sowed the seeds of its greatest health challenge. The weight of modernity, in the form of processed food and a sedentary existence, has proven to be a heavier burden than anyone imagined. It's a cruel irony, and one that shapes daily life on the island. Isolation in Nauru is more than geography, it's a state of being. Everything is more difficult and expensive. The supply chain is fragile, dependent on a single airline and infrequent ships. Delays can empty supermarket shelves, creating a constant anxiety about being cut off. The government is the main employer, but jobs are limited, and young people often feel trapped. The world seen online feels a million miles away. Isolation preserves strong community bonds, but also leads to stagnation and suspicion of outsiders. For decades, the island's main interaction with foreigners has been through the controversial Australian-run Asylum Seeker Centre. The psychological toll is real. Island fever sets in, and the single road circling the island becomes a metaphor for life itself. The desire for escape and connection to the wider world is a powerful undercurrent. The price of isolation is paid not just in dollars, but in dreams deferred and horizons limited. Even in its isolation, Nauru hasn't given up. The government is trying to diversify the economy, selling fishing licenses to foreign fleets for vital income. Public health campaigns encourage healthier eating and physical activity, with support from international partners. Organized walks, and a growing interest in sports aim to combat the sedentary lifestyle. Internet access, though slow and expensive, offers a window to the world and connects Nauruans with family abroad. Social media is a tool for education and entertainment, helping to bridge the vast distance from the rest of the planet. There are tentative steps toward niche tourism, historical tours, game fishing, scuba diving. The focus is on authentic experiences, not luxury resorts. The logistical hurdles are immense, but it's a flicker of hope. Nauru is trying to write a new story, one where outsiders come to understand, not to extract. Nauru stands at a crossroads, its future uncertain. Without a sustainable income, the nation remains dependent on foreign aid and fishing licenses. The legacy of phosphate creates a dependency on government support that's hard to unwind. The health crisis is a ticking time bomb, and changing habits is a generational challenge. The healthcare system is overwhelmed, and breaking the cycle of reliance on cheap food is crucial. Climate change is an existential threat. Rising seas and extreme weather put the island at risk. The irony, the world's hunger for fertilizer helped fuel the climate crisis now threatening Nauru, yet there's a flicker of possibility in the resilience of the Nauruan people. The younger generation is aware of the need for change. Solutions may include niche tourism, renewable energy, and small-scale agriculture. The road ahead is long, but the story of Nauru is not over yet. What becomes of a place built on a resource that's gone, wrestling with the ghosts of wealth and the reality of its absence? Nauru's future will be written in the salt of the ocean and the dust of its barren interior. Can a nation rewire its economy, unlearn a deadly diet, and stand against climate change? There are no easy answers. Nauru is not a paradise lost, but a lesson in the true cost of extraction and the danger of sudden wealth. The jagged limestone pinnacles are a permanent monument to that lesson. The world took what it wanted, then looked away. But the spirit of Nauru lives on in family bonds, children's laughter, fishermen's quiet dignity, and the hope of students dreaming beyond the reef. This is the island's true wealth, resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. Nauru's story is a microcosm of global challenges: sustainability, health, inequality, and climate justice. The future is uncertain and will be a struggle. But as the sun sets over the Pacific, you sense they'll face it together. A nation defined not by what it's lost, but by what it's managed to hold on to.